Hello and welcome back to another driveway. I've just been installing some of these valve stems. There are some nice stainless steel stems. Hopefully they'll hold up to bumping into some mud or a couple sticks or something. They should be beefy enough to push some stuff out of the way so I don't run into an issue like I did last time doing a gambler run. But today we are going to be trying to look at what we might have to do with some of the bumper pieces, and hopefully the tires will come in before we reach the end of the video here, and we'll be able to take a look at them and see how much of this car we have to chop up. So I'll install a couple more of these things around, then we'll get rolling on the bumper. Alright, so the rear bumper is going to be relatively easy. It's just going to have a bend. We've got a 6-inch radius bender, so we'll just use like the 1 3/4 inches that we built the cage out of for the Crossfire. So it's just going to come in here right at this edge of the quarter panel here. We're going to tuck it up as close as we can behind the gate here. We'll make sure that we're out from the car just that amount. So I'll give you something similar to that aspect. Then we'll take another section of tube, not like this, but this is just for illustrative purposes, and we'll hook another section, maybe like right about here or so. They'll give us a second tube over there. So basically, what that'll look like is you'll have your tube come around like that, then we'll have a second tube that hooks up like that, more or less. And then we'll have another tube just like that towards the bottom, and then there'll be some bars that come from that bottommost one and kind of come up and attach to this secondary tube. So that is the plan. I'm gonna take some measurements. I got about 64 inches there, and we need to figure out how far out that needs to go. Let's go. I think we're talking 10 inches. All right, so anyways, we got some rough measurements, rough calculations. I just needed to make sure that a 6-foot section of pipe would be enough for bending, and it's gonna be kind of close, so we're just going to clamp it at both ends for the bend, and then hopefully it'll all roll out well. If 6 foot's too long, I'll just be able to section out a piece of pipe, slide it together, weld it back in. If it's a little bit too short, we can just cut the pipe, find another section of pipe, extend it, well, they're all back together again. So there's no need for continuous bends like you would on a cage. So we can tweak after the fact instead of having to measure 17 million times and just going for it. So we've got her chucked up, we've got her snugged up and zeroed out. So let's just bend ourselves a 90 We'll go straight to the 90. There'll be a little bit of spring back, but that should be good enough to follow the line of the car. So, all in all, let's make sure all of our pins are in. Section through. Let's just let her fly. Just in case, I think I want a set of safety glasses. This thing is pretty safe, but with air and junk blowing all over the place, you don't want to be too uncareful. So, next round, we're just gonna bump it up to 60, wherever that pin was sitting last, and away we go. Alright, so we did have to cut them into sections. We made that boo-boo, so we're off there. And this just allows us to just cut everything all together a lot closer. So, I'm hoping to get her tucked right in tight like that. That'll be super nice. So, we'll just have to grab some more sections of pipe and throw that together. So it shouldn't be too difficult. Ideally, I would start with a much longer piece of steel, because 6 foot's just not going to quite cut it with the cutoffs and throwaways that we have to do. Coming up probably, I would say almost a foot short, because that's no bueno. So, anyways, I think I'm going to keep plugging away here and see if I can get these things to line up a little better. Alright, so now we got our sections. What we really have to do is get everything fully lined up and clamped in there, then we can just zap it back together. But I'm going to have to bevel all the edges so we have a void to weld into. And then that'll be that. Now hopefully, let's see if I can pull this off here. Alright, so we got one section of the rear bumper welded up. Turned out pretty straight. Can't really ask for too much more. So this will pretty much be the top section. We'll section that guy right in there as reinforcement. Probably right along the lines of that. So we'll probably come in here with our chop saw, cut it straight, and that way we can just hit the bevel and we'll be good to fly. Alright, so that's laid out pretty nice. Kind of ran off some measurements from the end here. About 9 to the center. And about 9 to the center. So as far as I can tell, we're centered. The eyeball says that it's okay. So I guess let's just fire up the welder and zap her up. Alright, so we can get a rough idea kind of what the final product is going to look like. Kind of like that. So, I think what we'll do, we should grab some angle iron, put it right on that mount, and then we can cut circles out and weld the tube right into the angle iron. That way we'll have a surface there, and it'll have extra structure for pounding that way, and then we'll be able to run the braces from the bottom to that frontmost section. Alright, we've got enough clearance between here and there, just in case we smash in the corner on something. We don't want to take out the quarter panel. Give us a little bit of buffer room. Now then, I guess I need to measure up where all this other stuff sits. We might be able to even maybe put the bar down here. Just a tad bit lower. Yeah, I think I'm feeling that. That way we protect this bottom edge a little bit. And then we'll have full access to these bolts to remove and install the thing. I'm feeling it. Alright, so we got that mocked up here. We're gonna run some more tubes there, probably kind of more of a W shape. But that's pretty much what the rear bumper is gonna look like. That should, in theory, if someone runs into it, it should ramp it down and kind of glance it off a little bit more. But I'm gonna have to grab the welder and put some serious welding time in on this back section here and Other than that, we're looking pretty good. We're all welded up with stage 1 here. Looks pretty good. Definitely got the aggressive Bashmal look. I think it's a little taller than I was initially planning, but I wanted to make sure we protect the entire back section. And I also didn't want the entire bumper to be above that bumper bracket. Because if you have everything up there, then you can bend it into the car if someone bumps into the back. It's like even now, it's got that bad enough. But we've got some room there, so even if you smash into something, it should absorb a little bit. But then we'll come in and zap ourselves our bars in there, and the rear will be done. Like, it looks pretty good. Got enough room that we can mount some backup lights back there. And it'll look pretty decent. Now, of course, we'll have to go through and run some tape around there and just black out this entire back section, just because it looks a little sad the way it is. On another upside note, we do have the tires. So, probably in the next video, we'll take a closer look at those guys, and we'll see how everything fits on there. But for now, I'll probably just cut to a relatively finished product with my bracing pieces, and we'll call it a day. Alright, so that bumper is done. It's like it's not the most symmetrical, but then again, the rear end of a Camry is not symmetrical either. It's like if you look at where the hood or the trunk lid is at, perfectly straight up and down, it's inside, but over here it's outside. And if you get some measurements, one side is actually wider than the other side. It's kind of weird. So they put it a little bit off center. There's probably some sort of engineering reason behind that, but that is not too bad. All right, so that's definitely going to do it. This is a really sturdy bumper. We should be good to fly there. Shouldn't really have to worry about anything. We got plenty of areas that we can just take a strap and wrap it around this main section here, and we'll be able to yank this thing out or any other vehicle we come across. So that is going to be it for today. Next time we're going to take a look at the tires that we got in. We're going to have to then get a few more episodes with fitting them into the car, with clearancing the wheel wells, getting the front bumper, and doing some little cleanup in here and there's. So we are making progress. I don't see it slowing up anytime soon, so we will knock this thing out. Anyways, thanks again for joining me, and we'll just have to see you again later.